అందరూ వచ్చినాక అడుగులో రాలేదని వచ్చినాం.
Good morning, one and all. Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, respected Director Academics, sir, respected directors, heads of departments, and dear participants. A very good morning to one and all. It's my honor this morning to welcome you all to the workshop on outcome-based education organized by Center for Internal Quality Assurance Cell, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. And I also welcome the experts who have joined this workshop this morning. At the outset, I would like to invite Professor K. Sitaramana, sir, the chief guest of today's morning session, to raise the dais. I request Professor Ghanta Chakrapani, sir, the president of the workshop, to kindly grace the dais. I request Dr. A.V.N. Reddy, sir, Registrar, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, to kindly take the chair on the dais. We welcome Professor Santosh Pandey, sir, Director, Stride, IGNO, who has joined online this morning. And I request Dr. Sridevi, Director in charge CICA, to kindly grace the dais and conduct the further proceedings. Thank you, one and all.
Yeah, friends, now let us start this workshop with a formal lighting the lamp program. Thank you.
Now I request Dr. Ravindra Salman kindly present a flower bouquet to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor K. Sitaramana. Now I request Dr. Madhav kindly present a bouquet to our Director Academic, Professor Ghanta Chakrapani. Yeah, just also I request Madhav kindly present a bouquet to our Registrar and also I request Madhav kindly present a bouquet to Sridevi. Now I request all the dignitaries on the dais kindly proceed for the lighting of the lamp. Proof to exposure. Thank you, sir. And madam, now I request Professor Ghanta Chakrapani to today's president of the function. Kindly conduct the further proceedings. Thank you very much.
Morning. Good morning. I welcome all of you for this today workshop on outcome-based education organized by Center for Internal Quality Assurance, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. I welcome Honorable Vice Chancellor and participants, coordinators, and experts joined to train us in this concept and in this activity for next 3 days. Today we have with us Professor Santosh Pandey, Director, Stride, IGNO, New Delhi. I welcome you, sir. He joined us, over Zoom. This is a 3-day workshop. We have decided to conduct this workshop to train all our teachers next level outcome-based education, which is insisted by UGC, as well as, of course, that is very relevant to any ODL system. Yeah, before my presidential remarks, I request the workshop coordinator and director SIKA, Dr. K. Devi, to briefly explain about the workshop and its objectives. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for giving this opportunity. Good morning to all. Honorable Vice Chancellor and Chief Guest of the inaugural function of the workshop, Professor K. Sitaram Rao Garu, President of today's inaugural function, Professor Chakrapani Garu, Guest of Honors of today's inaugural function, Dr. Professor A.V.N. Reddy Garu, Registrar of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, Keynote Speaker of inaugural function of the workshop, Professor Santosh Panda Garu, and invitees, participants, teaching and non-teaching fraternity of Dr. B.R. AOU. A very good morning to one and all. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to the inaugural function of the workshop on outcome-based education. On behalf of the university and on behalf of myself as Director of the workshop, I extend a warm welcome to you all. In the context of National Credit Framework and National Educational Policy 2020, the university has taken up the revision of all postgraduate programs in semester system with credit framework. In the month of July, NAC team visited our university for assessment of the quality of university for NAC accreditation. A part of this, the team members have suggested to prefer curriculum and SLMs based on OBE. Keeping this in view, the Center for Internal Quality Assurance has conducted SIKA Advisory Committee meeting on 30th August 2023 with the chairperson of the Vice Chancellor of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. In the meeting, it was resolved to organize a workshop on outcome-based education to all the teachers of the university in association with the Directorate of Academics. Worldwide, the changing nature of education sector has shifted the focus from the traditional mode of classroom teaching to an outcome-based teaching learning environment. The National Educational Policy 2020 also envisages to bring the gap between the current state of learning outcomes and the reforms that bring quality, equity, and integrity in the education system. Outcome-based education is a learner-centric teaching learning methodology in which the course delivery and assessment are planned to achieve stated objectives and outcomes. It is an academic process and approach that aims at developing the outcomes that learners are expected to achieve in the period leading up to the graduation. It also focuses on evaluating the outcomes of a program that a graduate is expected to achieve 4 to 5 years after completing her or his graduation. OBE is not a specific style of teaching or assessment. All the educational activities conducted help the learners to achieve certain goals. The objectives of the workshop are to understand the principles of OBE, the importance of learning outcomes, and the alignment of teaching methods and assessments with learning outcomes, to write clear and measurable learning outcomes that are aligned with program outcomes, to design teaching methods and assessments that are aligned with learning outcomes, including the use of formative and summative assessments, to understand how to apply OBE principles in curriculum development, including the design of courses and programs that are focused on achieving specific learning outcomes, to monitor student progress and identify areas for improving in teaching learning. The workshop themes are conceptual framework of outcome-based education and its components, vision, mission of the institution, program, education objectives. Develop learning outcomes of the course as per Bloom's taxonomy, graduate attributes and student learning outcomes, Bloom's taxonomy and design of learning outcomes, contemporary pedagogical tools for effective course delivery, project-based learning and design of outcome-based curriculum, measuring outcomes, rubrics and assessment, attainment of course outcomes or program outcomes and continuous quality improvement, design of question papers based on OBE as per Bloom's taxonomy, and finally remedial measures. Outcomes of the workshop are to identify the relevance and scope of OBE and develop the program educational objectives and then design the program outcomes in align with the mission and vision of the institution and share the effective knowledge in support for the designing of the course outcomes and finally map the course outcomes COs with the program outcomes POs and program specific outcomes PSOs using the CO to PO and CO to PSO matrix. Calculate attainment of COs, POs, and PSOs. Develop the SLM based on the OBE process. In this connection, after discussion with the Director Academic, Professor Chakrapani sir, SICA has contacted Dr. G. Somayajil Garu, former professor and head of the executive education at SPJMR Mumbai, who is currently staying in Hyderabad. He is an expert in conducting OBE workshop. He readily accepted to be a resource person and trainer to the workshop to be held from 22nd to 24th January 2024. The workshop includes 15 technical sessions spread over 3 days. It covers introduction to OBE to complete information of OBE with hands-on training for developing curriculum along with SLMs. I hope this workshop will be fruitful and further enrich our SLM development based on outcome-based education. I again thank to our Vice Chancellor, Director Academic and Registrar for encouraging and supporting to conduct this workshop in the right time. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, Sridevi. Friends, good morning once again. I welcome you all for this today's intensive workshop on outcome-based education. Today, Santosh Pandaji is with us. He is one of the, in a way, master trainer in open and distance education. For over 35 years, he is with IGNOU and he associated on several occasions with Dr. BRAOU also. Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, and friends, you all know the importance and significance of outcome-based learning and outcome-based education. Since this university is in a way, first university to define the objectives of learning, teaching, learning in Indian education system. As the first open university, in a way, we were the first to design self-instructional materials, and the objective of self-instruction material is to look at the outcome-based education and design the outcomes when we design the course material. Outcome-based education, in a way, is a combination of psychological and sociological, inputs, which really look into the background of the student, as well as the expected goal of the teaching and learning. As I said, we started designing course material in the absence of teacher. In fact, open and distance education is it is student-centric education and student-centric learning system. But the faculty and teacher is invisible, and he has to draw the student, and he has to, motivate the student through course material and learning material. And the learning material designing itself is combination of all these OBRs and objectives and achieving the objectives and outcomes, and all such kind of educational tools and instruments. We require this outcome-based. First of all, we have to understand the concept of outcome-based education and inputs in outcome-based education. Of course, next 3 days we are going to discuss that. This is really helpful and essential in curriculum designing at the first level. During the curriculum designing itself, we have to, frame our outcomes, and based on that, we have to design entire curriculum, including courses and units and blocks. After that, And teaching learning methods also one of the major component in outcome-based education. While designing our curriculum itself, we have to, define the teaching learning methods. Particularly, we are making use of not only text in audio visual, and other also. I mean, that methods also we have to decide. And of course, our study material and our self-instruction material, it is inbuilt of continuous assessment, regular assessment. This is also assessment is also one of the serious component and important element of outcome-based education for quality assurance and continuous monitoring. I mean, these four elements really decide and shape and design the outcome-based learning. And recently we have faced this problem when NAC visited our university, and we should be in a position. Every department and every teacher should be in a position to define the entire objective of our programs, courses, and learning materials. So keeping that in view, and apart from that, as our workshop director already explained, national curriculum framework as well as UGC NEP policy also focusing on outcome-based learning and outcome-based education system. So every institute now shaping and reshaping the whole academic curriculum, focusing and imbibing the elements of outcome-based education. Now we have very important, very experienced teachers from National Institute, Somyajulu.
Audio is off, sir.
In designing the units or course material in the framework of outcome-based education. So without delaying and without taking much time, because we have started this program, we actually have in fact scheduled it at 10 o'clock, but we took half an hour to start. Now I request our registrar Garu to give his message. Because he has to take a policy decision in future, because now we are redesigning, revising our course materials for PG level, and we are bringing all these elements. I request Registrar Garu to say a few words.
Thank you, sir. So good morning to all. Vice Chancellor, Professor Sitaram Rao, sir. Director Technique, Professor Ganta Jakraban Garu. Today's the main speaker, keynote speaker, Dr. Santosh Panda, Director Stride, IGNO, who is joined in online. Today's Program Director and SICA In-charge Director, Dr. Sridevi, and dignitaries of the directors, as well as today's trainer, today and tomorrow, Professor Somyajulu Garu and his team, and my fellow teachers. So really, I appreciate the SICA to organizing this program. First of all, before that, some of the exercise has been done by the Director Academic. There is a need to teachers particularly to understand about the outcome-based education, because so we are not understanding about it clearly. There is a lot of doubts, confusion among the minds of the teachers particularly. So before NAC visit, we had been trying to learn something, but we are unable to almost all perfectly got knowledge, particularly in particular area of OBE. So then immediately, sir, the director said that there is a need to be trained our people, and we thought that and suggested to the administration. So better to, before revision of our curriculum, definitely we have to go for training to our people. That is most helpful to the students as well as the latest developments in the pedagogical tools which are developed by the various in education particular curriculum side. So in that reason, that SICA immediately taken up after conclusion of our team, then immediately sent that particular work to the SICA to organize this OBE training program to our people. So anyhow, this program is very much useful to our teachers, particularly distance education. Why? Because the municipal teachers are here, that student has to know that everything, the tools is more important, and how to prepare, how to learn, and what are the developments which are coming in the curriculum, including credit framework. So in this regard, I hope that all our teachers have to learn more and useful, and also I expect that they have to be the best trainers in future after learning this, after training in this workshop. I hope that the training, about 3 days workshop will be a great success, fruitful in this regard. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Registrar Garu. Now I request our chief guest, Professor C.K. Sitaram Rao, Vice Chancellor, Dr.
Sabaku Sabikuలకు Namaskaram. Good morning, everybody. And in the agenda, we have chief guest address. I'm not going to address anymore now. I wanted to do only message for 3 reasons. One is, we have started our program half an hour, but I was under impression, I'm very sorry to say, I may be excused. I was under impression the program starts at 11 o'clock. That was, I was in that impression. So, that is also part of this delay. And at the same time, the earlier speakers made my job easy. They've covered almost all aspects about the workshop, its objectives, outcomes, and also workshop themes and everything. So, keeping these aspects in view, one more important reason is that we have eminent resource persons are here. One is Dr. Somayajulu, is one of the best resource persons available to us, having wonderful international exposure in the subject area. And we have another important person who joined in this program online, Professor Santosh Pandaji, Director of STRIDE, and he is also well-versed in this subject related to National Higher Education Quality Framework, and also the other related issues of new education, National Education Policy of India. And before these experts, in a way, I am a layman in this area. I don't know much about this new concepts related to modern educational theory, that is outcome-based education. And our knowledge related to this theory is peripheral and superficial also, I must admit it. So these are the reasons I don't want to go into detail. So anyhow, the context is most important here. The context of the institution made us to organize this program. As our Director Academic also said that in the context of the changing environment of education system as a whole in the country, in the light of the national education policy, and also in the light of the implementation of sustainable development goals at the world over. These are the things made us to learn new areas of education policy and education philosophy, theories, methodologies, and techniques to implement them in the process of curriculum development and courses designing and all that. So this is the context. This is the broad background of purpose of organizing this workshop to our teachers. So one more thing I wanted to say here, that Open University system, ODL system, in my opinion, has a lot of potentiality to achieve the objective of national education policy, that is increasing the gross enrollment ratio in higher education. Now it is average is 27 to 30 maximum, but Telangana is having 36%. And we have to take this by 2037 to 50%. So unless we involve as a matter of policy, open universities and other ODL institutions working as part of other universities, we cannot achieving this objective is also very difficult. So from the beginning itself, open university system has a objective or great target of learner-centric education. That is most important. I don't say that open university systems have strictly followed this, implemented and achieved the now this modern concept of OBE and all that. But initially, to start with, open university teachers, faculty members, having some broad understanding about the learner-centric education and learner-centeredness of our courses, programs, and all that. But now we have to refine ourselves, and we have to revisit ourselves and review our knowledge and skills related to this broad area in the light of the changed context of the educational environment and also the system in which we are operating. And the NAC also forced us in a way to come to this point and learn the various new and useful and meaningful aspects of educational theories. So I wanted to say here, all right, but the question here is, I have one or two questions with me. So as part of the India signatory to the Washington Accord in 2014, we have also started implementing this OBE, especially in technical and professional education, but not in general science education, social science education, and arts education, and all that. But if you see the implementation of this OBE policy and OBE methods and technologies in different countries, you find a different picture. Especially America is very strictly confined and adhered to the system of OBE, and also they are implementing it from school level to higher education level in professional programs and all that. But some of the countries, Australia and Europe also implementing to some extent, European countries, but Australia, South Africa, these are the countries, they have abandoned the implementation of OBE for its own reasons, lot of resistance from the community and society and parents and the various other stakeholders of the education system. This is the scenario at the international level. Keeping all this aspect also in view, but the question here is, this theory of OBE, to what extent applicable to our conditions? This is most important and most critical to think over it and analyze to ourselves. All right, technical and professional education, they have a lot of experience implementing this theory. But in an open education system, in open universities, we have a different context. Though we have a understanding of learner-centeredness of our programs and all that. The distance between the learner and the learner or teacher is little bit more. And this gap need to be bridged by the technology. That is only mediating point for us. So, in the process of implementing this OBE policy at various levels, whether it may be curriculum design, designing of courses, then also alignment or mapping of the various ways of course objectives, program objectives, and also program-specific objectives, and vision and mission of the institution, and also keeping in view the interests of our stakeholders, that is government, industry, market, job market, and parents, and all learners also mainly, because we are speaking mainly about the students. Keeping all these things, then how to apply this modern theory of OBE to various disciplines. Here we have our education system, especially open universities, are more in the science education, science general for science programs, and commerce to become, and BA, arts, and all the social sciences. Social sciences, arts, and sciences, to what extent we can apply this OBE, how best we can customize this theory to our context. That is one important thing. We must be very careful while understanding this theory and applying to our situation. And also another important question in my mind is how to measure the outcomes of the learners. This is very crucial and critical also, because we cannot measure everything in terms of quantitative techniques and quantitative tools. Certain aspects are in qualitative also. For example, Open University, if we see the students who have come from the poor background and the first generation of students from the rural areas, they have stayed here and they have gone to the higher levels of their career. Some of them are IAS officers, IPS officers, now ministers and politicians, political representatives. For example, our Panchayat Raj Minister, present government, is student of Open University. She did her MA political science from our university. Like that, there are so many students and are there, but they are mainly from the arts education or science education or commerce education or social science education. Then how to measure their outcome is also very crucial. We have to think. But that is the reason in NAC manual also, all metrics are not quantitative. We have qualitative metrics also there, but we have to give information in different way. That is the reason 30% of the score is visited under the control of the peer team, which comes and evaluates and assesses and accredits our institutions. So these aspects in view, but measuring the outcomes, this Bloom's taxonomy methods we are applying for evaluation level, but how to improve further from here. And also, in my opinion, we have to program-specific oriented outcomes need to be designed, and also they must be measured properly. And we have to keep in mind what knowledge and skills we are intended or interested to provide them to the learners, whether it is 21st century skills are there, and critical thinking, application-oriented skills, and also domain-specific knowledge. All these are various aspects are there as part of the OBE system, theory, and methodology, and all that. So these are the critical aspects. I hope a workshop and also resource persons going to be involved in this workshop will keep in view these aspects, and they will definitely, our participants also learn a lot from this expertised resource persons we have invited, and Pandaji also is here with us, and he is going to deliver the keynote address to this workshop. And I once again thank the resource person for accepting our invitation and he came here all the way to train our teachers in the specific area of objective outcome-based education or outcome-based learning process. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, sir. Before I invite today's keynote speaker, Professor Santosh Pandaji, we have in fact, contacted Santosh Pandaji in the month of September itself. We planned this workshop during September and October. Because of our convocation and other activities, we could not do that during that time. Actually, Pandaji also gave his time to come over here during that time. Anyhow, now he joined with us over Zoom. So Pandaji, we have designed this workshop according to our earlier discussion, and this is the main objective is to upskill our teaching faculty here. In this workshop, we for next 3 days, our SICA designed 16 different sessions. Each session is very intensive training, lectures, and practicals. And of course, practicals means we have to do whatever we learned here and here itself. As our Vice Chancellor said, from philosophy, principles, and vision and mission of the institution, because in every course we have encountered a kind of question from NAC and others, how you relate this program to your mission of your institution, vision of your institution. So now, with in consultation of Professor Somyajulu Garu, is as our Vice Chancellor said, is highly experienced management consultant, management expert, as well as education designer also. And Dr. Jayshree also will be with us for the next 3 days. They designed entire workshop from objectives focusing, principles, philosophy, and others. And again, vision and mission. And the third session, it is practical session. Practical session means practicing session, actually. We have to practice, how to develop and match our objectives, particularly POs, for program objectives, to our institutional vision and institutional mission. Now, that is the actual, exercise will be there. And also, developing POs and mapping the POs and mission elements. All this will be, in different modules, they have designed entire curriculum. Not only, objectives and other vision and missions, program outcomes, and differences between POs and POs. And we are all, familiar about the Bloom's taxonomy and, outcome-based developing course materials in the context of outcome-based learning. That will be taught here again, and, practical sessions also will be conducted. Like this, in the next 3 days, almost 16 sessions are totally focused on training, exercising, and also presenting. The 16th session is participants has to present their, they have to design the material and present here. This is totally a personalized kind of training program. Our experts will be here for next 3 days. And final in valedictory, Professor Venkaya Garu and others also join us. Now, before I invite, Santosh Pandaji, I request Sridevi Garu to introduce Santosh Panda briefly, because many of our teachers are not, they are new here in this institution. Of course, I request Sridevi to introduce Santosh Panda.
Thank you, sir. It is extremely honored to introduce our keynote speaker, Professor Santosh Panda, sir, who has graciously accepted our invitation to join today's inaugural function of the workshop on outcome-based education. Professor Panda sir, after obtaining PhD, started university teaching in 1984. He became a full professor in 1997 and is currently director, staff, the Training and Research Institute of Distance Education, IGNOU, New Delhi. He has a PhD in education, Fulbright postdoctoral in USA, certificate education television, BBC UK, and certificate in online teaching, Maryland, USA. During the past 35 years of teaching, research, and administration career, Dr. Panda has extensively worked in many areas of educational planning and economics of education, higher education planning, management, and accreditation, open distance, online and blended learning, and teacher education. Dr. Panda's past and current research areas include international student mobility, costing of higher education and distance education, virtual research, models of instructional design and course development, student dropout, employability and career mobility, program evaluation, online research resources, self-regulated learning, OER, open educational practices, teacher education, open schooling, TNA, networking and partner institutions, planning and management in distance education. As coordinator of international programs in distance education at IGNOU, Dr. Panda expanded the programs then offered in 24 countries. He was national coordinator and developed DEC NCTE National MED program. During the academic and administrative career spanning over last 35 years, he has taught various undergraduate, postgraduate and doctoral courses at Kurukshetra University, IGNOU, University of New Mexico in USA, and University of Maryland in USA. Also, he has been visiting professor at University of London, UK, Manchester Metropolitan University, UK, University of Maryland, USA, Beijing Normal University, China, and University of Guadalajara, Mexico. He is the president of Network for Staff and Educational Development, New Delhi, since 1997, and also a life member at Indian Association of Educational Research and Indian Association of Teacher Educators. He is also a member at the Yoga Certification Board TC, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, and also a member, Board of Studies, National Institute of Educational Planning and Administration, New Delhi. In the past, he has been chairperson at National Council for Teacher Education, Government of India, Fulbright Scholar, University of New Mexico, USA, Director at Association of Indian Universities, New Delhi. Director, Center for Flexible Learning, University of South Pacific, Fiji. Founding Director, Inter-University Consortium for ICT, now it is Center for Online Education, IGNOU. He has presented keynotes and workshops in 25 countries and presented convocation addresses in 5 universities. He is Chief Editor of the Scopus Indexed Referred Journal, that is Journal of Learning for Development, which is published by the Commonwealth of Learning, Canada. Chief Editor of Referred UGC Care Journal, that is Indian Journal of Open Learning. Chief Editor of Referred Staff and AMP, that is Educational Development International. He sits in the editorial board for 15 referred journals, which is published by Routledge, among others. His books have been published by Bloomsbury, Routledge, and Springer. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
Thank you, Sri. Now I request Professor Santosh Panda to deliver his keynote address.
Thank you very much, sir. Very good morning. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor K. Sitharam Rao Garu, Dr. Reddy, Registrar, Professor Chakrapani Garu, Director Academic, Dr. Somayajulu Garu, and his colleague, Dr. Jayasri Garu, Dr. Sridevi, Director, SICA, Dr. Benugopal Reddy Garu, and all my distinguished colleagues who are participating over there. I hope I'm audible, friends. the Honorable Vice Chancellor was after me for a long time. Last year, I had agreed to come face to face, but this time I suffered some problem. I was hospitalized, and therefore I'm sorry I could not make it to join face to face, which I would have loved to. And the Honorable Vice Chancellor was after me to join face to face, but he agreed to me that yes, I'm not well, so therefore I'm joining. I'm also grateful to the Honorable Vice Chancellor and colleagues who have given me this opportunity to interact with you. And as Chakrapani Garu and Honorable Vice Chancellor, they have already expressed, this is a new thing that we are going to do, especially open universities and distance education. We have to gear towards the new developments that are coming up. Dr. BRAU as APOU is the founding open university of the country, the first open university, and therefore we look forward to BRAU on many matters. And on this issue, of course, IGNOU has already taken a lead vis-a-vis the UGC and the DEB. But I will highlight, I have already shared my PowerPoint with Dr. Sridevi to circulate to you later. I will talk on some of the important developments and the national framework that has come up, and show some examples how we have to do in open and distance learning. My understanding is, and my request to Vice Chancellor Sitaram Rao Garu is to impress upon UGC that they have to also drastically change the 2020 distance education online learning regulation, which needs to conform to the national education policy, and especially which I'm going to talk about, the National Credit Framework 2023, which he is very much aware of. Once the change takes place, we will be in a better position to address, and therefore our equivalency with the face-to-face. However, the NEP 2020 and the National Credit Framework 2023, they've already established that there is no distinction between face-to-face, distance online, and flipped delivery system. So we are already in a better position, but we need to justify in our curriculum, teaching and learning and assessment, and that we are equivalent. We are conforming to national standards and national frameworks. And NAC, whether NIRF or even international QS or any ranking that we are talking about, we will be at par because credit transfer is seamless now, and cross-border education delivery is now a reality. And therefore, and dual degree and joint degree are a reality legally. A student can take 2 degrees at the same point of time, which in IGNOU we have already implemented. Quite a few universities have already started doing that. So I will talk about all these things. So without wasting time, let me get into my PowerPoint. And therefore, so I think, friends, it is visible. And okay, so I will talk about the, because next 3 days, Dr. Samajal Garu and Dr. Jayasri Garu and team, they will proceed to work out in detail. They have the expertise in that. I will briefly, in this presentation of 1 hour or so, talk about the larger framework to which we have to conform to, and show some examples, and also how we are doing at IGNOU, and how in distance learning we should proceed towards that. In IGNOU, in any case, including APOU and BRAOU, we have been doing it from the beginning. So whatever NEP or National Credit Framework is talking about, one way or the other, we have been doing it. But now we have to conform to their standards, their framework. That's the point over here. Otherwise, we in distance learning open university, we are in a better position to address this than any face-to-face university. I will give the example of University of Delhi, how they are also going for the 4-year undergraduate program. That will be our major concern of discussion. Then the master's program, certificate, diploma, and PhD programs, but within the framework, credit framework that I will focus on. As you know, friends, 2015, the Ministry of Skilling was created, entrepreneurship was created, and they developed a national skill qualifications framework. Any skill course or any skill program that we have to offer, that has to conform to the national skill qualifications framework. Earlier, they had 10 levels because the labeling started with NSQF, skilling. Subsequently, UGC did that, so AICTE and many others. And so also teacher education, where I had a chairperson as a regulator. They followed what the NSQF had said and the UGC National Higher Education Qualifications Framework had talked about. I will show both of them. Earlier, there were 10 labels. Now there are 8 labels. 8 because we have a new schooling system. School is 4 labels: foundation, preparatory, middle, and secondary. The secondary, senior secondary, they have been merged together as secondary. So there are 4 labels. 4 labels, they go to school system. The rest of the 4 labels are higher education and professional education. So it starts with 4.5 and it goes to up to 8. So 4, 5, or 5, 6, 7, 8. These belong to higher education. It starts with 4.5. I will show the example to you, the National Credit Framework 2023. So the National Skill Framework had given us the specification that how the outcomes will be as per the label and as per the standard. So if you look at the NSQF, if we are doing a learning outcome and designing our learning resources, teaching learning, student assessment, technology, learner support, all these, they need to conform to those standards. And standards will be determined by learning outcomes, which will be credit-based. And credits are nothing but the hours of teaching and learning. In our case, hours of learning. And in face-to-face, it is both teaching as well as learning as per the National Credit Framework, which I will show you. So our outcomes, they have to gear towards the outcomes specified by the qualifications framework, in this case, skill framework, as well as the standard at a certain level to achieve that. How, for instance, NSQF talks about the process. We will see something about the process also. Second, it talks about professional knowledge. Our outcomes need to be based on professional knowledge, both subject knowledge as well as the professional knowledge. How there are 4 types under this that we have to talk about: specialization, the depth; multidisciplinarity, we'll talk about that because NEP talks about that. That is the breadth. And the kind of process that we follow from concrete to abstract, segment to cumulative, part to whole, these are the kinds. And the complexity of knowledge involved in that, we are not addressing that. Even in face-to-face also, we are not addressing. Therefore, the National Education Policy talks about translating theory into practice, that our teaching learning has become theoretical, especially in our distance learning, open universities. It has become self-learning material oriented, which is extremely theoretical. We need to translate it into practice, and therefore our 100% credit hours getting into only self-learning material needs to be re-looked at. The NEP 2020 is giving a formulation of 50-50. 50 theory, 50 practice. 50 discipline, 50 outside the discipline or related to the discipline. So this 50-50 formulation we have to keep in mind. And by doing that, we're not losing anything. I'm just studying 50% of my discipline. Will that be enough for a discipline study? Specialization? Yes, that is enough. Internationally, that is correct. And 50% will be empowering me by multidisciplinarity to increase my employability, to enhance my personality, to develop my extra skills, social life skills, they would call, and the Honorable Vice Chancellor was talking about 21st century skills. All these will be environment, value and ethics, etc., etc. So process, professional knowledge, and then it talks about professional skills. And it also talks about core skills that we would call in ourselves as core discipline. And finally, the responsibility, that is simply a transfer of learning. That we are assuming that transfer of learning will take place, but we have to show and work out that how the transfer of learning will take place. So therefore, our degree finally that we are awarding, that also includes knowledge and ability of the graduates, that how they will transfer their learning to the world of work and to the community, to the family, to the society, and a good living. So that good living, happy living has come to the fore so far NEP 2020 is concerned. So if we see how this has been worked out in NSQF, this is an example of level 5, which is now 4.5. This was 5 was when the level was 10. Now it is 8 levels, 4 levels in the school and 4 levels in higher education. So this should be 4.5 now. This is being worked out. So the process required is explained here. Professional knowledge is explained here. Professional skill is also explained here. Core skills are also explained here. And final responsibility, the responsibility for one's own work and learning, and some responsibility for others' work and learning, that is the supervisory experience. That means this supervision experience of taking responsibility as a manager of any, it's not a management science only, say Sanskrit or Urdu or Hindi or Telugu, that way. So what responsibility one should take when one applies that in the context. Context could be society, community, another classroom or job area, the family, anywhere. So this has been worked out. This should be guiding us also. Based on these, the UGC developed the National Higher Education Qualifications Framework, 8 levels, based on the NSQF in 2022. NSQF was in 2015, 2016, and the National Higher Education Qualifications Framework is 2022. So level 4.5, the first year of undergraduate, 40 credits, because 40 credits is now minimum constant each year, starting from the school stage, that we will look at the National Credit Framework. So if a student completes level 4.5, takes a certificate, goes out to do any work or job, the student has to, or the graduate has to do 4 credits based on internship and a specific job or vocation. So 40 plus 4, one has to do. But we have to award only 40 credits. If the student wants to go to the job or world of work, not to continue for the second year, then he has to do a 40 credits for that job. So I can take a certificate, I can get out of the college or distance learning first year. I can come back after a few years for the second year. Then I have to complete another 40 credits, totaling 80. And still I don't want to continue, again, go back to my job. You have to award me an undergraduate diploma. If I continue for the third year, another 40 credits, so 120 credits I have to do. And you have to give me a bachelor's degree measure. And if I continue for the 4th year, which the undergraduate program is now 4 years program. So, and I hope BRAOU is also developing a 4-year undergraduate program. I will show the example of UGC and IGNOU, how we are doing. So level 6, if I continue and complete the 4th year, I get a bachelor's degree with honors and research. And then with 75% marks, if I secure, then I'm eligible to directly go for PhD. So after 4-year undergraduate program, I can go for a PhD, or I can go for a 1-year master's program, or I can go to do job outside and can come back later. Level 6.5 is the master's program, 4-year undergraduate program. You could call it a PhD diploma, and so on and so forth. Level 7 is the master's degree. Right now, the 3 years undergraduate and 2 years master's continuing. But once we complete, our students complete 4-year undergraduate program, after 4 years, then there will be only 1-year master's. Maybe there may be 2 years master's. For those backlog who have done 3 years of undergraduate, they have to do a 2 years master's. And level 8 is a PhD program, which is for 3 to 6 years. So with this, NSQF and National Higher Education Qualifications Framework, we will transform these or translate these to the National Credit Framework within a minute. But before that, what are the main points of national education policy that we in distance learning we should be concerned with? Of course, access, equity, inclusivity, equality, and therefore increasing the gross enrollment ratio is our major concern. And we in distance education, we are the largest contributor of gross enrollment ratio. But one caution over here, that gross enrollment ratio is counted based on the degree programs, undergraduate, postgraduate, PhD programs. Certificate and diploma are not considered to gross enrollment ratio. Therefore, the Distance Education Bureau, which starts with the postgraduate certificate, postgraduate diploma, up to PhD program, they are not concerned with certificate and diploma for which UGC recognition or DEV recognition is not needed. Even AICTE recognition is also not needed. So we have to be very careful. That would simply mean that we have to expand our undergraduate and postgraduate programs, and so also PhD programs, to increase gross enrollment ratio. There are formulations now, both face-to-face distance learning, Indian culture and values, regional language and local language, they have to come to the fore. And we have been doing it so far, but Indian culture and values need to be addressed irrespective of any discipline, any program that we are teaching. That doesn't mean we are teaching a value course or a culture course. No, we have to provide examples and student activities based on our discipline exercise or discipline study in such a way that they address our Indian knowledge system, IKS, or Indian knowledge system. And so far skilling entrepreneurship is concerned, I'm just jumping, skilling entrepreneurship is concerned, that we have to address to what is called Loka Vidya, the traditional knowledge of skilling knowledge of our community. So the third point is that our teaching has become too theoretical. Therefore, we need to translate theory into practice. And therefore, NEP 2020 talks about a 50-50 formulation. 50 theory, we have enough. Our credits for the whole year is dominated by self-learning material 100%. We have to reduce, I repeat, we have to reduce the workload insofar as self-learning material 100% credit is concerned to 50%, 60%, depending on your discipline, and 40-50%, we have to translate that into practice through student activities, assignments, projects, portfolios, and so on and so forth. That's what the national education policy is all about. So this talks about pedagogy in context. That simply means we have to address discipline pedagogy. Pedagogy is a general subject, but we need to concentrate more on discipline pedagogy that needs to be worked out. And therefore, there cannot be a trainer. The assumption is that each teacher, every teacher has to get into pedagogy, and therefore they can do justice. A pedagogy expert from outside working with a discipline expert was an older story. Now, every teacher has to learn pedagogy, and therefore they can do justice more creatively than an outside pedagogy expert helping the faculty. So therefore, each faculty, therefore these workshops are very important. The next point is multidisciplinarity. We will look at that, and holistic. And institutions programs, they have to be multidisciplinary. We already are, but we are only concerned with the multidisciplinary curriculum. We will discuss that. Outcome-based learning, it's not a new thing. When the choice-based credit system, CBCS, of UGC started some time back for the 3-year undergraduate program, it was outcome-based learning. The UGC website, for every discipline, they have worked out the outcome-based learning, graduate attributes, so also the postgraduate programs. They'll be helpful to us. Multiple entry and exit, that we will discuss. Horizontal, vertical mobility between general and vocational education, we also need to work out in our curriculum. And academic bank of credit and recognition of prior learning, we will look at that. Skilling and entrepreneurship, social and life skills, employable skills, and happiness skills. The stress is on happiness skills, that we have to have some content, some activities, some assignments, which will be facilitating students to develop their happiness competency, including, say, for instance, emotional intelligence, and so on and so forth. Technology-enabled learning, we have been doing in any case. Internationalization, cross-border credit transfer, we have to prepare ourselves towards that. Quality research, continuing professional development. Research is a little weak in our case, but continuing professional development, we are very good at it. Now, the entire higher education, to conclude this point, PowerPoint, the entire higher education is going blended. Meaning thereby, both face-to-face and distance online, they have to blend. Face-to-face cannot be 100% face-to-face. There will be blending. I will show the example of national education policy blending. Distance online, we have also to blend, and flipped classroom is also possible. That is technology used within the classroom and at the place of study at home by the students. So combination of both classroom technology and home study is a flipped classroom. Now, friends, let's get into the National Credit Framework. That's the framework available to us today. That is the overarching framework, which subsumes, as I've written here, which subsumes NSQF, National Higher Education Qualification Framework, and National Curriculum Framework for School Education, which is being developed. All are falling under the National Credit Framework 2023. What does it say? That there is equivalence of general and vocational education. Earlier, it was not. And in fact, those who are going for vocational education were getting less salary than who are getting general education or professional education for that matter. Now they're equivalent. Hopefully, the salary will also be equivalent. They are based on measurable criteria, based on learning outcomes, expressed in outcomes and competencies, and there will be proper assessment for that. The assessment strategies also need to gear. Our assessment rubric needs to gear towards varieties of outcomes and competencies. Outcome and competency, as the Honorable Vice Chancellor said, that Australia and Canada and quite a few, South Africa, I said Australia and South Africa, the professors, they are very much against competency-based education, but we are not talking about a manual level, low-level skill. We are talking about competency. The critical thinking, creativity, innovation is also a competency. So we have to take competence in a broader sense, and therefore our discipline competency. So for instance, because we are influenced by the British system, therefore we are more concerned with the theoretical, intellectual, what should I say, articulation. I would call intellectual romanticism. You see, we are more concerned with the British. But as Honorable Vice Chancellor said, that the American system, because I've been a Fulbright and I've taught a semester over there, the American system is very, very practical. That they are also theoretically competent, but also every theory is applied into context. Unless they apply, they will not study that. So application, even the China, I've been 20 times to China as visiting professor in different capacity. There is a Chinese saying that I hear, I forget, I see, I remember, and finally I do, therefore I learn. So doing is very important. Unless you do not learn fully. You only know how theoretically how this can be done, but you have not done it. So that's the point what the National Education Policy and National Credit Framework is talking about, experimenting in terms of outcomes and competencies. Multiple entry and exit and validation of alternative learning, home-based learning that need to be worked out. And we in distance education, we are in a better position insofar as this is concerned. Distance online learning, digital learning, they're all equivalent. Now, the curriculum design, which I'll explain a little further, that our curriculum needs to be a combination of academic, skilling, and experiential learning. Our teaching learning has so far been academic. Now the skilling has to be built into. When the skilling comes in, National Skill Qualifications Framework come in. When it is academic, National Higher Education Qualifications come in. When it is experiential learning, the National Credit Framework 2023 come in. Experiential learning can be of two types. One, that a student who is engaging in field study, internship, apprenticeship, hands-on, they are called experiential learning. The other experiential learning is RPL, recognition of prior learning, which we have been doing so far. I will show the example of IGNOU, the Agniveer program that we are doing with IITs and polytechnics that we are doing experiential learning. Meaning thereby that somebody, say for instance, I'm an undergraduate in hospitality. I'm working in hospitality sector for the last 10 years, and I want to do an MBA hospitality. MBA hospitality of 2 years is 80 credits. So I have to go through a national test for an entrance to master's level hospitality. And based on my past experience of 10 years, if I get, say, for instance, a 10 credit that I'm awarded based on my experience, I need not do 80 credits. I have to do 70 credits, 80 minus 10, because this 10 credits will be transferred towards my master's degree. So I have to do only 70 credits and I have to complete master's. And therefore, our distance learning programs need to be geared towards this. We have to keep open for experiential learning in terms of RPL, recognition of prior learning. The National Credit Framework, as I said, the school education is up to level 4, foundation, preparatory, middle, and secondary. These are 4 levels of new schooling system today. Our 10+2+3 system is outdated now. Now we are into NEP 2020 schooling system. Our undergraduate is 4 years, 4.5, 5, 5.5, and 6. Postgraduate is 1 year, but there are other postgraduate, AME, MTech, and so on and so forth. So this starts from 6, 6.5 to 7, and PhD is level 8. I will again repeat, our curriculum and learning will be a combination of academic, skilling, and experiential learning. So credit hours up to grade 5, there'll be 800 to 1,000 hours of credit. So 1 credit being 30 hours, you can calculate the total credits. So almost 30 credits in a way in the school level up to grade 5. From school grade 6 onwards, there will be 40 credits a year, 1,200 hours a year, 1 credit, 30 hours. If you excuse me for just for a minute, I'll be back in 30 seconds. I'm sorry about that. So friends, 1,200 hours a year, 40 credits a year is minimum. And a student can do more than 1,200 hours a year. That simply means a student can have 2 degrees at the same point of time. We have started implementing at IGNOU. I will show the example, 2 degrees at the same point of time. When the credits will be calculated, we have to be very careful. 40 credits a year, 1 credit, 30 hours, 1,200 hours in a year. But those 1,200 hours have to be calculated in this manner. That for theory of 1 hour will be equivalent to practical of 2 hours, will be equivalent to experiential learning of 3 hours. Meaning thereby, if we are doing an RPL, recognition of prior learning, 1 credit will be 90 hours. For a practical, 1 credit will be 60 hours. And for theory, 1 credit will be 30 hours. We have to be very careful, but the credits will remain the same, 1 credit. But for theory, it will be 30 hours. For practical, 60 hours. And for experiential learning, 90 hours. Because 1 hour of theory equivalent to 2 hours of practical and equivalent to 3 hours of experiential learning. This is the 4-year undergraduate program of UGC, and this is the National Credit Framework, NCF 2023. Up to first year of undergraduate and PhD. So we have 7 levels, but calculated as 4 levels because it starts from 4.5, second year level 5, third year level 5.5, fourth year level 6, postgraduate 6.5, and if you proceed for MTech and MSc engineering, level 7, and PhD is level 8. I hope you have downloaded the National Credit Framework 2023, which will be guiding us in our new curriculum design. This is based on that. So level is very important. 4.5 means first year of undergraduate. 5.5 means third year of undergraduate. 6.5 means first year or 1 year master's, and so on and so forth. And for credit, as we see, 40 credits a year is constant. But when we get into the academic bank of credits, credit points become very important. Credit points will be calculated over there. They will be deposited over there. So 4.5 is first year, 40 credits, and therefore my credit point would be 180. If I go to third year, my level is 5.5 and credit is constant 40, my credit point will be 220 because credit points will be calculated in the academic bank of credits. And therefore, to conclude this point, National Credit Framework, and we will get into our own curriculum design. So 1 credit is 30 hours. In face-to-face, what they will do, 15 hours of classroom teaching by the teacher, including lecture, seminar, and there will be 15 hours of other activities by the students, student activities. Now, co-curricular activities are no more co-curricular. They are part of the curricular activities in the face-to-face system. So 1 credit is 30 hours now in face-to-face system. In distance learning, in any case, 1 credit was 30 hours for us, and that to student learning. Our teaching has no meaning. It is the student learning. If we are teaching, that will be expressed in terms of student learning. So 1 credit is 30 hours, which was earlier and which still continues. So therefore, we are in a better position. So 1 credit, as I said, 1 hour of teaching, 2 hours of practical or seminar internship field project, or 3 hours of experience. We all, I think our teachers, our institutions and students, they have already registered in the academic bank of credit. We have to register in IGNOU, almost 30 lakh students they have registered, and almost 6 lakhs of their certificate, degrees, credentials, they've been uploaded, digitized, and we all have to do that. Each university is doing, I'm sure BRAOU would have also done that, because with that, the credit transfer is possible. Even recognition of credit is also desired to be in the academic bank of credits. Otherwise, the respect for the degree that we award may not be possible in the futures unless we are part of the academic bank of credit. So students and institutions, they have to register in academic bank of credits. The student can accumulate for multiple entry and exit. Multiple entry and exit is their choice. In distance learning, we already had multiple entry and exit, but in face-to-face, we are all equivalent now. So something we are taking from face-to-face, face-to-face is taking something from us. So we are both complementing each other. They go on accumulating and deposit their credits. They can decide that which combination of credit they would redeem to claim a certificate, diploma, or degree. And their credits in the ABC will remain valid for 7 years. Right now it is 7 years. It may increase in the future also. Another point to make here is that the institution which will be awarding, the institution where the student will be doing minimum 50% of the discipline core will be awarding the degree. Meaning thereby, the University of Andhra University, the student can take from Andhra University 50% discipline core. The rest 50% credits the student can take from BRAOU, National SWAYAM platform, because 40% credit hours a student can take from the SWAYAM platform. And a student can also take some credits in the evening college in that city by paying course fees and studying over there. Those credits will be transferred to Andhra University. So 50% by Andhra University and 50% outside a student can take, and still Andhra University has to award the degree. That's the provision. It can be 50, it can't be less than 50. It can be 80%. The student can take 20% from outside. And Andhra University cannot stop the student to take 20% from outside, provided that those courses are not available at Andhra University. So that's the precondition. So I hope I'm communicating, friends, that the National Credit Framework, I'm concluding over here, and to show the example of how in IGNOU we have been doing, that we have said that undergraduate and postgraduate programs, one can take simultaneously, 2 undergraduate or 2 postgraduate, a student can take simultaneously. That we have 45 programs in the basket made available, and there will be 2 academic cycles. One condition is over there that if a student is doing 1 degree from Delhi University, simultaneously one can do another degree from IGNOU. If a student wants to do 2 degrees from IGNOU, or for that matter, 2 degrees from BRAOU, the student can take. It is allowed. It is legal. However, we have said that if a student takes admission in the January cycle for 1 degree, one has to take next degree in the July cycle. Because both the degrees, if one gets admitted in January cycle itself, that in June and December examination, it will be problematic because one cannot appear both the examinations because there will be class updates. So therefore, 1 semester gap will be there. And PhD is not part of the dual degree program. One is to do only PhD, cannot do simultaneously any other program. So friends, let us get into a little bit of our curriculum design based on the National Credit Framework and the National Education Policy. You will realize as teachers that whether we are teaching face-to-face, distance, online, or blended, 4, 5 important things that we need to decide. That is transmitting information and concept, how we are doing this through self-learning materials, audio, video, and so on and so forth. Interaction, maybe at study centers. Now, a whole lot of interaction, I will show the NEP formulation. The whole lot of interaction can take place through social technology, social networks like social media. They can also take place online. They can be both synchronous and asynchronous that I will discuss. So interaction has to be designed, and some credits need to be put into interaction. Because so far in distance learning, we have been putting all the credits into self-learning materials. That has to be reduced. The workload has to be reduced. I repeat, the workload has to be reduced, meaning thereby the workload of self-learning material as 100% credits has to be reduced, meaning thereby we have to reduce our number of units and so on and so forth. The dev needs to work out this. I hope it does in the future. So, and some credits will be going to transmission through self-learning materials, audio and video. They are compulsory. Some credits will get into interaction. Some credits will get into collaborative learning that we can give students online sharing and respecting each other's work, joint projects, joint assignments, which we are not doing, but that should be now built into this. We should provide some space for the students for reflection, for higher order learning. That means some of the activities and tasks based on the higher order learning outcomes, they have to be translated not into self-learning materials, but into student activities. So student activities which are more reflective, which are more, that they would call it metacognitive learning, higher order learning, they should also be credited for. And assimilation by the students, some of the experiential learning, we have been already discussed in National Credit Framework, the experiential. Some of the experiential learning, they have all to be based on field studies, portfolios, internships, and so on and so forth, and they have to be credited for. So therefore, friends, I would conclude this PowerPoint by simply saying that our 100% credit hours getting into self-learning material has to be reduced. And the surplus credits, they need to be spread across interaction, collaboration, reflection, and assimilation. Now, in curriculum design, we have been largely subject-centered in our self-learning materials and so on and so forth. As Honorable Vice Chancellor said, we have to move towards more learner-centered. Certainly, yes, but NEP talks about that we have to be, our curriculum needs to be more problem-centered. Problem-based, activity-based, authentic, real-life experiences, creative and innovative. That's the definition of problem-centered. And therefore, our learning outcomes, they have to shift from the subject-centered outcomes to student-centered and problem-centered learning outcomes. This is the flexible program design of the National Education Policy that instead of STEM, now it is STEAM. Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It was earlier there, vis-a-vis ICTE. Now it is STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics, because liberal arts to develop good human beings is now compulsory across the board. Management, engineering, IT, and everybody has to study liberal arts, so which they have to do. So far skill courses are concerned, including our own Open University skill courses, we have to engage, develop skill courses based on NSQF, as well as with the help of industry experts. University of Delhi, for instance, they have started appointing what is called professors of practice. Professors of practice are full-time professors, equivalent to professors, without any PhD, but based on industry experience. Their responsibility is to design, develop, and help in delivery and assessment of the skill-based courses and programs. So in our case, we have to involve industry experts who will be designing and developing based on the NSQF, National Skill Qualifications Framework. I repeat, our skill courses need to comply with the NSQF standards. Otherwise, they will not be considered as skill courses anymore. In IGNOU, we have an MOU with the skill regulator called the NCVET, National Council for Vocational Education and Training. And based on that MOU, that our skill courses are being transformed, right now being transformed into NSQF compliant courses. Otherwise, they will not be considered as skill. There will be multiple entry and exit, which we have already seen. There'll be some credits getting into community engagement and service, research and internship, certainly in the 4th year of undergraduate. In fact, research is being compulsory from the school stage. That doesn't necessarily mean that they will do a project or a dissertation, but research skills will be built into the student activities and so on and so forth in the school stage itself. There will be some credits given to environmental and value-based education, Indian language, culture, and art, which will be more the local art, skill courses, of course, we have discussed, and therefore it becomes multidisciplinary and holistic. How it happens, let us get into this little more. In our distance learning, I understand this is also possible in face-to-face, maybe ho sakta hai. But in distance learning, we have been following these. You are also following these. There is a program design stage, program development stage, program delivery stage. We continue for 5 years maintaining that. After 5 years, we do a program evaluation. And after 5 years or so, we do a revision of the program. This is our cycle. In any case, you are also following that. So friends, I will draw your attention a little more to this, how a program design happens. This is how we do at IGNOU, and I'm sure you are also following considerably this at BRAOU, that whenever we talk about a program design, we certainly look at other syllabuses available so far, both national and international, but our colleagues are more, because they say we are professors, we have the freedom. Of course, you have the freedom. So therefore, let us utilize that freedom to design the program in a more qualitative and more employable way so that it contributes to employability and multidisciplinarity and therefore holistic. The left-hand side box that you see, that we do needs analysis, which is compulsory for a program. National regional development needs, human resource requirements, the labor requirement of the country, the global developments, the expert opinion, disciplinary knowledge structure, which is very important, research and development, indigenous knowledge base, the IKS, learner profile, and so on and so forth. So left-hand side, you can still go on adding more. The left-hand side, our teachers, they consider this while developing a concept mapping or a program blueprint. I will show an example to you how we have been doing it. And the program blueprint or the concept map is translated into learning outcomes. So this becomes outcome-based learning. The outcomes can be at different levels. We have been talking about Bloom's taxonomy. The other taxonomies are also available. This is what is called a learning design today. Instead of instructional design from teaching side, it will be learning design from the student's point of view. So the program blueprint is translated into learning outcomes. I will show an example. Immediately, before getting into developing learning resources, our blueprint must have that what student activities, learning activities that you are giving to achieve those learning outcomes. Once this is decided, that we develop our learning resources, teaching learning strategies, different media combinations, learner support services, and we also formulate formative and summative assessment. Then program delivery maintenance, program evaluation, and finally program revision takes place. Please go through this figure later on. And when the concept mapping program blueprint is being developed, today we need to consider as per NEP multidisciplinarity, multiple entry and exit, and also interdisciplinarity. We have also to consider skill-based courses, social and life skills, vocational and job-related and professional skills. This is the formulation that we have been following at IGNOU. Hopefully all my colleagues are following this. So this may be helpful to you. And this is what the NAC is looking forward to. I will show an example of what NAC look forward to actually. So therefore, your graduate attributes, we need to define. Based on that, the learning outcomes. You can take the help of existing learning experience and recognition of prior learning, if any. Our programs have to be modular, credit-based, and mapped. Mediated teaching and learning, that's our distance learning. 21st century skills, employable skills, metacognitive skills, self-learning skills. They have to be all part of the student activities. And the assignments and student activities, they have to be authentic. Now, as the Honorable Vice Chancellor says, why the US is the best? Because the US is most authentic. They bring in authentic real-life experiences for discussion within the classroom and for student activities. They do not make it hypothetical or theoretical. The practical experiences of the students, and that becomes their assignment. Case studies, workshops, contact programs, portfolios, internships. In fact, the NEP 2020 is giving more importance to case-based learning, portfolio-based learning, and internship-based learning. If these three we can really build into our distance learning programs, nobody can challenge the quality of our distance learning programs. Case-based learning, management and law, they are taught basically by case studies. So why not bringing in case studies to all kinds of learning? Because cases are available. Second, portfolio. The student portfolio becomes very important. NEP is stressing on student portfolio. And internship, they are saying it should be compulsory. Our assessment rubric, therefore, based on outcome-based learning, has to diversify, has to expand. It has to be authentic, comprehensive, and continuous. Continuous, both formative and summative. Comprehensive, because it has to cover all the learning levels of learning outcomes or the objectives, learning objectives. And it has to be authentic. That's the point over here. We are making it compulsory and continuous, but we are not making it authentic. It is becoming theoretical. Our assessment system is too theoretical. It has to be authentic. Let me proceed further to give the example of 4-year undergraduate program of UGC and the University of Delhi. And immediately after this, I will show the 4-year undergraduate program of the IGNOU. Now, friends, 160 credits for 4 years, 40 credits a year. They are divided into 8 categories of courses. Discipline measure, और थोड़ा सा ध्यान दीजिए इसको. Discipline measure or core is 50%, that is 80 credits. Earlier, it used to be 100%. That means it should have been 160 credits. No, it is now 50%, 80 credits. We have to redesign our curriculum accordingly. So discipline measure or discipline core is 80 credits. Discipline minor, which your discipline students can take, and students from other disciplines can also take. That is 32 credits. Multidisciplinary, 9 credits, 3 credits of 3 courses, a student can take or has to take from outside the discipline. Ability enhancement courses, 8 credits. That means 4 credits of 2 courses. Wrongly, it is written 3, sorry about that, but 4 credits of 2 courses. What is ability enhancement? Communication skills, which is 8 credits. It is compulsory. Language communication skills, academic writing, communication through language as well as writing. 5 skill enhancement courses, 9 credits. That means 3 credits of 3 courses have to be skill enhancement. That skill enhancement could be based on your discipline area of study. It could be related to the discipline, the job area of your discipline, or it can be from outside the discipline also. But one has to justify that is part of your discipline. Number 6, value-added courses like Understanding India, Environmental Education, Digital Solutions, Yoga, Shiksha, Sports, and so on and so forth, 6 to 8 credits. Summer internship, 2 to 4 credits, and 4th year research and dissertation, 12 credits. So even if we are teaching at a distance, our 4th year, 12 credits of dissertation will be there for undergraduate students. And those who complete with 75% marks, they can directly go for PhD. So friends, all put together, there are 160 credits minimum that UGC has prescribed. For instance, the University of Delhi, DU, they have gone for 176 credits a year, 16 credits more. They are into 3rd year now, 3rd semester now, actually. What is that 16 credits more? They say, because we have to enhance the employability of the student in the job market, and therefore they have put in 16 credits more into value-added courses. They have expanded the basket, and we in distance learning, we can do more because there is a need for face-to-face teaching, teachers, and so on and so forth. But we can go for self-learning materials, audio, video, and a little bit of counseling and online learner support, synchronous, asynchronous, we can combine. So we are in a better position to increase the basket of the value-added courses. So friends, I hope I have communicated that how this 4-year undergraduate program under the National Credit Framework 2023 and the NEP 2020 has been designed. Now let us look at how at IGNOU we are doing that. It is 160 credits we have taken, and we have divided into 8 semesters: discipline core, discipline minor, multidisciplinary, ability enhancement, skill enhancement, and value-added courses. So per semester, 20 credits. So when one completes semester 2, 40 credits, one can take a certificate, can get out and come back later, complete the 3rd and 4th semester, can take a diploma, can go out and come back, complete the 5th and 6th semester, takes a undergraduate degree major or a dual major, one can also take, and still go out of the world of work and come back after a few years to continue the 4th year. And if one does an internship with a research dissertation, one gets an honors with a research, and one completes 160 credits. So I hope this PowerPoint will be with you. It will be helpful when you are designing your curriculum. So therefore, friends, to conclude the entire discussion that I have made so far, that our learning outcomes, our curriculum and courses, that simply means learning outcomes. Curriculum and courses are nothing but learning outcomes. Learning of different concepts, different applications, and so on and so forth. Learning outcomes. Learning outcomes expressed in terms of hours of study, 1 credit, or in terms of credits. Credits are expressed in the hours of teaching and learning. So 1 credit is 30 hours, and 40 credits a year is a minimum. So our learning or learning outcomes, they have to be academic, based on National Higher Education Qualifications Framework. They have to be skill-based or vocational, also based on the NSQF of AICTE and Minister of Skilling. And they have to be experiential, including internship, recognition of learning based on National Credit Framework 2023. So I hope, friends, that your new curriculum design has to address 3 kinds of learning: academic, skill, and experiential. It will cover discipline, multidisciplinary, social and life skills, happiness competencies, and vocational and professional skills. As I said earlier, that institution where the student will do 50% has to award the degree. The other 50% the student can take from cluster colleges. That means the college within the same city or SOIM closest, or online or distance learning from BRAOU or IGNOU, and so on and so forth. This is the new formulation insofar as NEP 2020 and National Credit Framework is concerned. Now, therefore, our curriculum has to be a combination of theory, practicum, and internship. Categorically, it has to be done, and NAC is also changing its assessment criteria based on the NEP 2020, and especially the National Credit Framework 2023. Considerable changes will take place in the NAC accreditation assessment and accreditation system, especially the assessment system. So therefore, what we need to care for is to design our content, design our interaction, and design activities, and design our assessment. These 4 components we need to design. So therefore, our learning outcomes will be comprising of the discipline skills and competencies, employability skills and competencies, social and life skills and happiness skills and competencies, self-regulated learning, meta-learning skills, or self-learning skills at least, digital skills, technology skills, irrespective of any discipline that we are teaching, and learning to learn skills, which is a lifelong learning skills, which will be useful for the future. This is what is designed or thought of as a holistic education by the National Education Policy 2020. Friends, as the Honorable Vice Chancellor said, that yes, NEP is also talking about 21st century skills. That these skills that are listed over here are common minimum that any discipline has to accommodate in different ways, in their own content, in the student activities, student assignments, student interaction, or student field study, and student discussion forum, or any way that they have to build in, and these are necessary to develop a holistic person and competitive in the international market. Communication skills, we have already talked about the language and ability enhancement skills. Independent learning skills need to be developed. And in distance education, we are more into this because we are talking about self-learning. So, but we need to develop the self-learning skills of the students. Thinking skills, critical thinking, problem solving, creativity through student activities, which are to be credited for. We have to allocate hours of study to that. Responsibility and ethical skills, because we have already seen in NSQF responsibility means transfer of learning, that when you do a job, you take up your responsibility from day one. And ethical skills also. Leadership skills, digital skills, knowledge management skills. With today's explosion of knowledge, how one has to manage knowledge is very important. Self-directed learning, self-regulated learning, happiness learning skills. These are put together called 21st century skills that we, irrespective of our discipline, we need to take care of this. So learning, this is one way of expressing the learning outcome. This is the cognitive domain in the Bloom's taxonomy. There are other domains, psychomotor and affective domains, and there are other taxonomies available. Gane's hierarchy of learning, some people follow, and there are many others. So starting from a low level of remembering, and we have to, learning outcomes are expressed in the right-hand side box that you know it better, which will be worked out in the next 3 days in the workshop. Understanding and comprehension, apply, giving some activities or content to analyze, giving some case studies for the students to evaluate, and give an opportunity for the students to create themselves some of the original work, which will be different from each other student, and which will be different from the teacher, which will be different from the textbook or the self-learning material. This is how the Bloom's taxonomy we are taking forward to apply that. Even we are based on simply Bloom's taxonomy, that is enough for all of us to do that. In fact, the ICTE in professional programs, they're also following Bloom's taxonomy, but there are also skill-based taxonomies which skill courses need to take forward vis-a-vis the NSQF, National Skill Qualifications Framework. So friend, this is an example for you to look at later. As I told you in IGNOU, we follow the program design and concept mapping. This is a certificate in community development, which we had developed for the Commonwealth of Learning. I'm giving a real example. And after brainstorming, because no courses were existing for this, after brainstorming, this is for community worker. So we have to look at the community, the work that the community worker does within the community, and so on and so forth. After brainstorming, we looked at HRD, environmental education, social work and development, and civic sense as the major themes, and therefore they became courses. Each theme was further expanded into sub-themes based on the community experience. They became our blocks or modules. Each module were further expanded, they became our units. That's point number one. We need to do a concept mapping. That's what industry is expecting, students are expecting, parents are expecting, employers are expecting, and the accrediting agency is also expecting this. We do a concept mapping of our certificate, diploma, degree program, and concept mapping of the courses, and derive program learning outcomes, course learning outcomes, and so on and so forth, that I will show as an example through these. So concept mapping for the program, that simply means we know that which modules they belong to, which course, how much space we have to give for a unit. Some unit can be 10 pages, some unit can be 20 pages, some units can be only 10 pages, but more time to study because a whole lot of activities are built into the unit. We have to decide based on these. But at the end of the day, they have to be 1,200 hours in a year. This is point number one. Point number two, that you will see dotted lines and straight lines over here. Straight lines are direct linkage that this course has to other courses, these modules, and so on and so forth. And the dotted lines are indirect linkage that would simply suggest when I'm developing a self-learning material or an activity or an audio or video program, I can give reference to, I can link to those. So that linkage linkage is very important. We are studying or teaching in an isolated way, topic by topic without any linkage. The concept mapping will tell the students the linkage, and they will, while studying, they will catch hold of the linkage. They will link themselves. Number 3, this also tells that where we need not give a self-learning unit, we can replace that with a student activity. So that's how we will reduce our 100% self-learning material into hopefully 50, 60%, and another 40, 50% we can put in student activities. That's what the National Education Policy expects. That's what the National Credit Framework expects. Academic courses, skilling courses, and experiential courses or activities. From this, we have derived program learning outcomes. We have picked up one course from there, environmental education, which is not environmental education as they teach in the science departments. This is environmental education at the community level. So environmental education is divided into the blue color that you will see boxes into 4 boxes. That means they are the 4 modules. Each module is spread around. They are the units. Then you can decide whether food as a sustainable development can be a unit, or you can give a student activity or an assignment or a field study, for instance. So all they have to be credited for, you have to allocate hours of study. These are the course learning outcomes. 4 learning outcomes, they are based on that course mapping itself. And if you pick up one unit, say managerial skills at the community level, these are 5 learning outcomes. That means the unit that is on managerial skills, they have to address these 5 learning outcomes. They have to define managerial skills required of the community leaders and workers. Second, they have to describe various managerial skills which are required to deal with tasks, analyze managerial skills that are to be employed at various differencing situations, cases, or context. Fourth, underline the importance and appreciate the role of the community development worker as a manager in the larger community. And finally, apply the skills acquired, managerial skills, to enhance qualitative social activities and to ensure better communal harmony. These 5 are based on, of course, they are based on the Bloom's taxonomy. This is an example how the learning outcomes are derived for this particular unit. If you think that this managerial unit, Unit 11, with these 5 learning outcomes will not be given as a unit, but will be given as a student activity, then Unit 11, managerial skills, student activities. That could be titled. And all these 5 learning outcomes, they have your student activities have to be geared towards achieving these 5 learning outcomes. I hope I'm communicating, friends, that learning outcomes are not only for the units. They can be audio, video, the online interaction, discussion forum. If it is officially done based on certain credits, then it can be for student activities, any assignments. So learning outcomes for all the kinds of teaching and learning that we engage in our curriculum. So what the NAC is looking forward to, friends, is the relationship between curriculum mapping and concept mapping with graduate attributes and learning outcomes, with student activities, with authentic assessment rubric. These 4 linkages they look forward to. In between is your self-learning material, audio, video, counseling, and so on and so forth. In face-to-face, there will be lecturing and seminars, students' activities, but the linkage in the curriculum, which needs to be finally, this is what is called the learning outcome towards the end of the day, and your degree that the student gets, it represents the curriculum, the graduate attributes and learning outcomes, the linkage with learner activities that the student have to do to achieve those learning outcomes, besides going through self-learning materials, and your authentic task and authentic assessment rubric. And UGC has come out with a document with a diversified assessment strategies that we have also to look forward to. So therefore, friends, the integration is needed, which has to be shown on paper and in the translation of curriculum into courses of studies, teaching and learning. Learning outcome 1, the student activity relating to that, assessment for that. Learning outcome 2, the student activities for that, besides self-learning material and so on and so forth, especially activities will be very important, and assessment. Learning outcome 3, the student activities and assessment. NAP talks about 3 kinds of assessment. Assessment of learning, summative, which was going on. Assessment for learning, we have been doing through assignments and others. This is called formative. But NAP is stressing more on assessment as learning. I gave you the example of portfolio. While a student is doing a portfolio for a semester, it becomes formative at the beginning, in the middle, and towards the end, it becomes summative portfolio. While the student is doing the portfolio, the teacher is assessing the student's ability and student's development and providing feedback. So portfolio is a best example of assessment as learning. While assessment is going on, learning is also going on. And therefore, not surprising that NAP 2020 stresses more on assessment as learning, and that too on portfolio. Case-based learning, problem-based learning, project-based learning, and portfolio-based learning. These 4 NAP 2020 are highlighting more than other forms of assessment. So friends, any teaching learning, including face-to-face, distance, online, we have been doing in any case, but we have to be a little more alert with this formulation. NAP 2020 talks about combining 3 delivery strategies judiciously. Self-learning, that means in face-to-face also, they have to give some credits to self-learning, and teacher will not be teaching in the class. Because Swadhyay, self-learning competency is almost getting down and getting reduced day by the students. So therefore, self-learning is a compulsory component in the face-to-face context. Also, some credits will get into that. And for us in distance learning, self-learning is more, because our large number of credits is getting into self-learning. For face-to-face, in face-to-face, they will devote more time to face-to-face, tutorial, discussion, seminar, hands-on, apprenticeship, internship. But for distance learning, for us, the skill, because that's what the regulators would say, NSQF will say, AICT will say, that the skill-based courses have to have face-to-face interaction. I repeat, the skill-based courses must have face-to-face interaction, including apprenticeship and internship, and so on and so on and so forth. So ours is more dominated by self-learning, but there will be face-to-face compulsory hands-on. And the third component of credit hours, the student activities, we can provide through online collaboration, as well as face-to-face. Online discussion forum, problem project-based learning, portfolios, assignments, they can be done online also. That doesn't necessarily mean that we need a full-fledged online platform, but an online component can be used, including social technology and networks, including your Facebook, your Twitter. In the COVID time, in IGNOU, we redesigned the Facebook and offered the entire certificate, diploma, degree programs through Facebook in the COVID time. So we have experimented that how the social technologies and networks can be full-fledged geared towards teaching learning and offering a full certificate diploma. In this case, we are only talking about, if you have a module LMS, for instance, it can be extended to all students for discussion forum. And discussion forum is a high order reflective learning, by the way, which is not possible in the classroom, because you give time, because it is asynchronous, you give time students to reflect and student respond. In classroom, it is synchronous. At the same point of time, the students respond, which is less reflective actually. So even if you are not using module LMS, you can think about, which we have used successfully, like for instance, Google Group. And some people talk about Google Classroom for also, that you can, which is free of cost. Even Moodle is also free of cost. You can use that. So friends, to conclude this point, our curriculum design needs to take into consideration 3 compulsory components of self-learning, face-to-face hands-on for skills, and online collaboration for student activities, portfolios, and so on and so forth. So we are moving towards open education, open learning. To what extent we can address individualized learning needs. We should use open education resources. I hope BRAOU has also an OER policy, because once it is there, it will be easy for us, because copyright at C and copyright free is Creative Commons CC. So we can use open education resources. NEP 2020 and UGC says that yes, up to 40% of credits you can take from SWAYAM. That would simply mean 40% of the credits we can also use as open education resources to design and develop our course materials. There should be open sharing. We are following that. And therefore, if we involve students more into your teaching and learning, and students will also design tasks for themselves, then we are moving towards open pedagogy. And therefore, all put together, we will call we are moving towards open education practices, meaning thereby we as open universities, we are more into open education practices than the face-to-face, but we have to increase this more. So as you know, open education resources, Creative Commons, CC, and you can retain, you can reuse, you can revise, you can remix, you can redistribute. And there are different legal aspects involved in these. Of course, you cannot commercially use these. So all our faculty members, they're encouraged to identify open education resources that they will be using. And also they can identify some of the SWAYAM courses that the students can do without without yourself developing those courses, and those credits can be transferred towards you. And for 4 quadrants, SWAYAM MOOC is also available. The LMS is there, videos are there, the texts are there, digital text, assignment, discussion forum, and some data I have given. IGNOU has given 193 courses, and I expect that BRAOU also significantly contributes SWAYAM courses to SWAYAM platform, and certificate and diploma courses. IGNOU is the coordinator, and we expect that BRAOU also submits proposals to IGNOU to develop more and more SWAYAM courses for ourselves to contribute. But the other part is that we can also take courses from SWAYAM to mix with our courses of study and our curriculum, and so on and so forth. Therefore, I'm towards the final part of my presentation, that we should also use synchronous, asynchronous, free of cost. I've listed over here student content interaction, student teacher interaction, and student interaction. We could also use all of these. Finally, friends, you can use these course design metrics maybe in your classroom to work out your curriculum design. So I have finished, friends. Thank you very much. And I will stop presenting.
Thank you, Professor Panda. It is very elaborative and very
Sir, just give me 30 seconds, sir. 30 seconds.
issue, because we need to have a proper training room. So I request Sridevi Garu to coordinate with computer center and arrange classes. And one more thing is, most of our teachers, particularly contract teachers, may not have their own laptops, systems ఉండకపోవచ్చు వాళ్ళ దగ్గర కాబట్టి సో ఉన్న ఎక్కడైతే సిస్టమ్స్ ఉంటాయో అక్కడే ట్రైనింగ్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ పెట్టండి. Number 1. Yeah, number 2, I request all the coordinators. In fact, we have appointed 4 deans as coordinators. Kindly ensure that all your department teachers should participate in every session, and that is your responsibility. And I request Seminar Director Sridevi Garu to take support from other teachers, and particularly, while organizing the sessions and interacting with people. So I request Devi and Madhuri to cooperate with Sridevi Garu, and while doing the entire activity, you should be there. And overall coordination, I request Masan Reddy, because you are the person who really initiated this activity. So I request you to be there for next 3 days in the with Sikha, and you please coordinate resource persons as well as our coordinators, deans. Sir, Pandaji, really it is very enlightening in a way to all of us. As we are moving to a new paradigm, this is very important. Madam, Mr. Pawar?
Sir wants to talk to.
No.
Is there?
Sir, have you concluded, or you want to speak?
No, because I have some urine infection, so every 30 minutes I have to go to the washroom.
No issue, sir.
So I have finished. If there are any questions, I would love to respond to.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes, maybe, if time permits.
No problem, sir. Definitely we'll have that. We'll arrange that. And I request all the participants, if you have any queries or any doubts or anything to further clarification, you can, I think either, I'm not sure whether you have, the systems are connected. Otherwise, you give in writing, or you come over to this place and, raise your queries. And sir, it is really, yeah, it is really very interesting, sir, and also very detailed presentation from framing the curriculum to real outcomes and how to evaluate the whole thing. It is very helpful. In fact, I request you to kindly share the presentation to Dr. Sridevi, so that we can share this to all.
No, I have already, before presentation, I have already emailed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for that.
I'm again grateful to Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, who is very keen to transform BRAOU into the NAC, NEP, and now, sir, NCF 2023 framework, which is an excellent idea. And I hope anything that happens in between or any help is needed, I'll be ready to contribute. But I'm pretty sure 3 days, this Jullu Garu and Jayasri Garu and colleagues, they are there, they will work out very well. So maybe sometimes later on, if there is an intervention, these are needs, we would do that. If there are any questions, very solid questions or any clarification that you need, otherwise our expert colleagues who are there, resource persons, they will take this forward. I'm pretty sure they are well conversant with this.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And our Vice Chancellor is always insisting us to, go along with the National Credit Framework. And recently, we have constituted course revision committees, program, curriculum development committees, and we are strictly following, for PG programs. Of course, in UG program, we have already, launched choice-based credit system and credit framework also. In UG, in post-graduation also, sir, now we are redesigning our course material, restructuring our course material, where we are strictly following, National Credit Framework guidelines. And number 2, sir, yes, OER also, we are the one of the, very well, we were the one of the first universities, first open universities to have, policy, OER policy. And recently, we had collaborated with SEMCA and, our teachers also developing some micro courses and, OER programs, OER courses also. And in that area also, we are doing some work, sir. Sir, ABC also recently, we have, academic bank of credits we implemented here. And almost, at present, roughly 30,000, 40,000 students already enrolled from this year onwards. And we have also developed, ABC policy at university level, and we are ready to, I think, go with that kind of system, sir. And sir, finally, from academic section, academic branch, I would like to thank you personally for joining us, and in fact, taking time, though you have some health issues. I think if you are here present directly, face to face, it would have better, benefited a lot to our teachers. Anyhow, sir, thank you for joining remotely. I request our teachers now, if you have anybody want some clarification or any doubt, you please take time and come over here. Yeah, Professor Malsan Reddy. Professor Malsan Reddy is, he coordinated SICA, NAC recent visits also. He is having some queries, and I request Malsan Reddy to come out to the dais.
Thank you, Pandaji. Our university, Ambedkar Open University, we have shifted to CBCS pattern in undergraduate course. In undergraduate course, we are offering 120 credits in discipline specific, 24 credits in ability enhancement course, and 8 credits in skill courses, and 4 credits in value added courses, like that. Now, when we are redesigning our PG material, is it required to include again these programs, these value added courses or skill courses in the PG? What we are feeling is in PG programs, it is specific to a particular subject. And during the curriculum revision committee meeting, 1 or 2 experts suggested to include this in the curriculum of postgraduate program also. However, we thought it is not required in postgraduate program. Now, I would like to know from you whether these programs, these ability courses, skill courses, or value-added courses are required to be included in the postgraduate level.
Reddy Garu, there are 2 points. One, you have done your 120 credits. Earlier, it used to be 132 credits in the choice-based credit system of 3 years. Point number 1 is that 3-year program of CBCS has to now be transformed into 4-year program of the National Credit Framework. That is point number 1. That can be gradually done since 3 years have been already done. There have been skill-based courses and so on and so forth. That needs to, and then we have to get into these 8 varieties of courses that the 4-year program is suggesting. So when 3-year is extended to 4-year program, 4th year is added to that, the curriculum needs to change with 50% discipline core and 32 credits of discipline additional courses or discipline electives, and so on and so forth. Value added, ability enhancement, skill courses, internship, and they have to be, because we have done, I showed you the IGNOU example of 8 semester, that 160 credits that we are doing. It's difficult, but the colleagues are doing that because they are transforming that. That's point number 1. That the 3-year program, CBCS, needs to go towards 4-year program based on the formulation that I showed you. Now, coming to the master's program. Right now, master's is 2 years, because when the student 4-year programs, they will complete, they will get into 1-year master's. Right now, I think we should continue with 2 years master's program. Please look at, very recently, I'm told a week back, UGC has come out with the curriculum design for the master's program. Let us also look at that. I have not got hold of a copy, otherwise today I would have also discussed that. So that we will bring in. But my understanding and personal opinion is that the formulation of 4-year undergraduate program need not directly or as it is applied to master's program. But what we can include in the master's program? Master's program should be dominated by more of our discipline, point number one. Point number two, that discipline has to be divided into theory, practicum, if possible, internship. That formulation has to be brought in because it has been more theoretical. Now it has to be theory, practice, application, and internship. That is compulsory. Point number three, that these 21st century skills that we are talking about, including research skills, because masters will also include a research component, maybe a dissertation, maybe a project or something. In MBA, we have project over here. And in other disciplines of social science, they call it a dissertation. So that master's program has also to be based on student activities, not specific courses, based on student activities. Because almost 50-50 formulation, we have also to follow the master's program. 50% theory, 50% application. Believe me, this is how the IIMs, IITs, and others have been doing since long. It's not a new thing. That, of course, their credit is much more than what is defined as the national credit framework. They do more work, my understanding is. So, therefore, to conclude this point, that it can be 50% theory in our discipline and 50% application. So when 50% application happens, both are discipline competencies, theory competency and application competency. When the discipline application competency happens, we can build in 21st century skills, including research skills. Some of these skill-related courses relating to discipline, which will contribute to employability and actual job. I have not shown you, but I can refer to, it is not very difficult, very expensive. You can, from Bloomsbury, as he was telling our latest book, Pedagogy in Practice. We have worked out in media policy and governance, that you call traditionally journalism or media studies. We have worked out, which Bloomsbury has published. We have worked out that what learning outcomes would be primary discipline, periphery discipline, or secondary discipline, and periphery discipline. These three ways we have defined our learning outcomes. So pedagogy in practice, Bloomsbury, some ₹1,000 that you could also look at some that as an example by your colleagues that how this has been done. So therefore, to conclude this point, the 4-year undergraduate formulation need not exactly be translated into the master's program. However, the master's program, which is dominated by the discipline, should be dominated by the discipline, but then research skills, application skills, apprentice skills, and 21st century skills, they have to be built around the master's program. And especially, that's what the emphasis of NEP, especially the student, it is not a lower level anymore because vocational general are equivalent. Students' vocational skills relating to the discipline, because our discipline has been more dominated by theory. So when you go for practice, that practice should include some of the skill-based, job-related components within the master's courses, which can facilitate students to go for more of job, profession, vocation, or whatever you call it. And finally, to what extent we can make our, because we have been teaching interdisciplinary. In any case, our teaching learning is interdisciplinary. But the multidisciplinary formulation, can we also bring in a little bit to the master's program? So for skill-based courses are concerned. Skill relating to the discipline and skills based on the discipline and skills which are relating to the discipline, which is not directly discipline, but relating to, that will expand the employability of the student. That is my submission over here.
Thank you, sir. We have taken care of these, whatever your suggestions. Already we have taken care of discipline-based skills we have included. And also internship also this time we have included in our master's program. Apart from this, project work also, internship leading to project work, project submission like that, we have included, sir. Thank you for it.
Excellent.
Yeah, Gaurav, please come.
Thank you very much, Professor Pandaji, for very elaborative and processing lecture given by you. Sir, we have MBA program. I'm the Dean Faculty of Commerce and Business Management. We have MBA program and MBA Hospital Healthcare Management, wherein project work and internship is mandatory. And now we are also planning for 4-year UG BBA program with all these NEP and NCRF framework. And tomorrow we are going to have a project work in our PG semesterization programs like MCOM. In the process of all these project component and all that, and assignment evaluation is also very, very important component at our PG programs across the faculties. So we at Faculty of Commerce and Business Management, we conduct some workshops on case study analysis and internship for MBA programs and also project evaluation. Can we assign in the lines of healthcare management credits to assignment work and seminars conducted for enhancing their case analysis and also assignment writing tomorrow in the near future? So if yes, how can we reframe our credit framework within the framework of this 20 or 40, whatever, for each semester? So if you throw some light on this.
Sir, I got the point. You see.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Point number one, Dengaru, point number one, you are in the right direction. Point number one. And the way you explained, it is an excellent work that you are doing. Point number two, that while deriving the learning outcomes and defining the credits, 4-year undergraduate program we have discussed, the national credit framework we have discussed. Based on that, I would submit that our course content in terms of units and audio and video, learning resources, then the whole lot of activities, including internship, projects, field studies, assignments, as you said, assignments, and also learner support, they have to be credited for. That would simply mean that I will repeat that our 100% workload from the unit-based, self-learning material-based credits have to be reduced, and we have to give more to application, including assignments. So it will not be difficult because the credit hours have to be dragged from the units towards application activities. And assignment is an activity. Assignment is a very high order learning, by the way, if we do properly. So therefore, the projects, field studies, apprenticeship, internship, and assignments, and cases, case-based learning. If the students are doing an assignment as a case or case as an assignment, that has also to be given credits as well as assessment for that. I hope I'm communicating.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah, please. I request Dr. Sridhar to propose vote of thanks.
1 minute. Before vote of thanks, I would like to say that to the organizers, especially Director in charge Sika and Professor Reddy, already we have behind the time, and in the process we have lost the first session. You have to readjust the whole schedule. I also request the resource persons to assist to this problem and kindly stay with us and continue the program. Thank you very much. I also request all the teachers to take it seriously and attend the program without any lapses. So I once again appeal to all our teachers, especially teachers, youngsters. They have to learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to all of you. On behalf of the university and on behalf of myself, I'm glad to be standing here to express my vote of thanks. I am thankful to the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Sitaram Rao Garu, for his valuable words about the workshop and grace the occasion, and also for permitting to conduct the workshop on outcome-based education. I must thank to our beloved Director Academic, and President of today's function, Chakrapani sir, for motivating us to participate and utilize the workshop, and also for explaining about the importance of the workshop. I sincerely convey my gratitude to our Professor Santosh Panda sir, who is keynote speaker of today's inaugural function, for accepting our invitation and also for giving valuable speech on National Credit Framework 2023 and NEP-based curriculum design for ODL. We are really inspired, motivated, and updated by your speeches, sir. We are humble and grateful to you, sir. So you are honored, sir. Once again, I thank you very much, sir. I thank to our registrar, Professor A.V.N. Reddy Garu, for his nice words and for his presence. I extend my thanks to the director, MRRC and team, and PRO, and in charge computer center and team for making necessary arrangements. I thank Dean, Faculty of Sciences for permitting us to use e-classroom, and I thank all the deans of 5 faculties, those who are going to coordinate their respective faculties. And also, I thank Dr. Somayajil Garu and Dr. Jayasri Garu, those who are going to train up for this workshop. And I thankful for your presence and for making to train us. And finally, I would like to convey my gratitude to everyone for making this event a grand success. Thank you, Varenda. So first we are going to take lunch. This is